Hello, let's start a new chapter India's defense system. Let's revise. In the last chapter, we studied India's foreign policy. We have now understood that the primary national interest of a country includes defense from the foreign aggressions and internal unrest and keeping the border safe. For this, every nation creates a defense system at the nation level. India has also created such a system. In this chapter, we are going to understand its nature and study the challenges it faces. First topic: what is national security? The international system is made up of sovereign nations. Even if they cooperate with each other, sometimes there are conflicts between the sovereign nations. There are disputes between nations over boundaries, or sometimes conflicts emerge between them over water sharing. Some other reasons for conflict could be not following the term of international treaties, constantly competing against each other, and influx of refugees from neighboring countries. Whenever such a conflict of interest arises between nations, it is sought to be resolved by compromises and discussions. But when such efforts are not enough to resolve a conflict, a nation may think even of a war. When a nation attacks another, it challenges the sovereignty of the latter. It endangers the security of the nation. Such challenges are created due to military power of aggression nations. In any situation, a nation's first duty and responsibility is to keep the security systems always well prepared and ready. This is the national security. We have a task here. Can you tell some examples of complementary and contradictory national interest in the context of India and our neighboring nations? Our next topic is ways to safeguard national security. National security is closely connected with the geography because national security is more likely to be endangered by nations who are geographically closer. A nation must access the trade of its geographical boundaries and the source of that trade. In order to keep this threat at bay, the nation has to increase its military might. The nation has to use modern technology to predict the threat, to build weapon systems and modernize and update the defense forces. Resolving conflicts by taking recourse to war in order to safeguard national security brings internal peace into danger. Hence, some nations try to get the support of other nations to manage the threat of their national security. We have a small activity here. Think and suggest. All countries are not at par with respect to military might. In such a situation, what needs to be done to implement a policy of arms control? Turn to the next page. We have a question here for us. Do you agree? Uh, Nations enter into armed races with others in an effort to increase their military might. Arms race leads to further increase the sense of insecurity. The sense of insecurity further increases the threats to national security. In order to avoid these dangers, we need to control arms, not the arms race. We will have a task here. Read the following passage and answer the questions. I will read the passage for you and the questions for you. Every nation should try to resolve international conflicts peacefully and by means of negotiation. For that, the dialogue and exchange between nations should increase. The more the interdependence between nations, the more peace and security will be strengthened. Because of this, different platforms and mediums will be available for discussions and negotiations for the purpose of increasing international cooperation. Nations will try to avoid wars out of fear of economical losses. The questions are: first one, what message do you get from the above passage? Uh, Second one, how will the dialogue between nations increase? Third one, what is the relation between economical losses and war? Our next topic is India's security system. India's security system includes army, the navy, the air force. The three forces that defend the country. The responsibility of protecting the geographical boundaries is on army, whereas the navy protects the coastline. The air force is in charge of protecting India's airspace. The Ministry of Defense controls all the three forces. The Indian army is very big. It It is the world's seventh largest. Its chief is known as the general, the chief of navy is known as the admiral, while the chief of the air force is known as the air chief marshal. These three chiefs are appointed by the president. These are pictured showing the Indian Army, the Navy, and the Air Force. We have an activity here. Find out so as to understand more. What is a military regime? Does democracy exist in such regimes? Continue. The President of India is the superior commander of the defense forces. The defense forces cannot take any decisions about war or peace without the consent of the President, because the latter represents the civil power. In the democracy, civil leadership is considered superior to military leadership. Many measures are taken so that all three defense forces in India's security are adequately modernized. For this, some research institutions have been set up. Many training institutions have also been set up in our country to train the personnel of all ranks of our defense forces so that they can perform their task competently. For example, the National Defense Academy (NDA) at Pune, the National Defense College (NDC) at Delhi, etc. Our next topic is paramilitary forces. There are paramilitary forces to help the defense forces in India. They are neither completely military forces nor completely civil forces. Hence, they are called as paramilitary forces. The main task is to help the defense forces. The Border Security Force, Coast Guard, Central Reserve Police Force, Rapid Action Force are some of the paramilitary forces. The paramilitary forces are responsible for the security of important locations like the railway stations, oil depots, water reserves, etc. Similarly, they play a role in management of disasters, whether natural or man-made. The responsibility of protecting the country's international borders during peace time also rests with the paramilitary forces. The Border Security Force performs tasks like creating a sense of security in the minds of people living in areas near the border, preventing smuggling, patrolling the border, etc. The Coast Guard has been created to protect India's oceanic borders. The Coast Guard carries out tasks like protecting the fishing occupation within Indian maritime borders, preventing smuggling along sea routes, etc. The Central Reserve Police Force helps the administration in various states to maintain law and order. The Rapid Action Force performs the task of bringing people's lives to a normalcy by moving in quickly in incidents of such threat of national security, such as bomb blast or riots. The National Cadet Corps (NCC) has been established with the purpose of in, instilling among students the love of discipline and military training. Boys and girls students from schools and colleges can join NCC. Our next topic is Home Guards. The organization can establish in a pre-independence period. Citizens can join the Home Guard and assist the defense of the country. Any citizen, woman or men between the age of 20 to 35 can join the Home Guards. This force this force has the following tasks: maintain public security, supply of milk, water, and other essential services during riots and strikes, to regulate traffic, to help people at the time of natural disasters like floods and earthquakes, etc. The next topic is challenges to India's security. Right from the time of independence, Pakistan and China have tried to threaten India's national security. There are several disputes between India and Pakistan. For example, the Kashmir issue, disputes over water sharing, the problem of infiltration, dispute over the borders, etc. India has continually tried to solve these issues through discussion and negotiations. We'll study the Indo-Pakistan relations in Chapter 6. India and China are important countries in Asia. In 1962, we had gone a war with China, as China was trying to establish its own hegemony over countries that are India's neighbors. There are tensions in China-India relations. There is also a dispute between India and China over their borders. India's security is not only threatened by outside powers but also from within. It was not just the difference between external security and internal security that is important anymore. Religionism, several rebellious movements based on ideology, race authenticity, economic inequality are creating instability. For example, the Naxalite movement is a threat to India's internal security. Terrorism is the biggest challenge to India's internal security. It is a global problem and India is making efforts to end terrorism. Next topic is human security. In the post-Cold War period, the concept of national security changed and became broader. National security is not just the security of the country but also the people living in it, because security is ultimately for the people. Hence, human security refers to the human-centric thinking. In human security, it is expected that human beings should be protected from all sorts of dangers and they should be given the opportunity of education, health, and development. The concept of human security also includes the idea that a conducive environment should be created for everybody to live a respectable life by overcoming illiteracy, poverty, superstition, backwardness, etc. Human security necessitates the protection of the rights of minorities and weaker sections. Our last topic in this chapter, challenges to human security. First one, the biggest challenge to human security is that of terrorism. Terrorism targets common innocent people. It aims at creating terror or fear in their minds so that they begin to feel insecure. Thus, in order to protect human security, it is necessary to put an end to terrorism. We have a small task here. Do you think that only a democratic form of government can maintain human security? Which points will you present in the discussion? The second question is, what efforts would be made at the level of a family for ensuring human security? Our next point is pollution and other changes in the environment have threatened human security. Diseases like AIDS, chikungunya, swine flu, Ebola have presented a big challenge. Protecting human beings from such diseases is also considered as a factor of human security. We have a question here. What do you think? Increasing violence in society is endangering human security. What kind of peace processes should be created so as to prevent violence from growing? Conclusion. In this chapter, we have studied Indian defense system. We have also tried to understand the change in the concept of security from national security to human security. In the next chapter, we shall study the United Nations and international organization. We shall understand what efforts it makes to ensure human security. We have an exercise here. Starting with the first row. Choose the right option and reread the sentence. First question. The dash of the India is the commander-in-chief of all the defense forces. A. Prime Minister, B. President, C. Defense Minister, D. Governor. I guess everyone knows the answer. The dash has the responsibility of protecting the coastline. A. Army, B. Coast Guard, C. Rapid Security Force, D. Rapid Action Force. Border Security Force. I'm sorry. Third question. The dash has been established with the purpose of instilling among students the love of discipline and military training. A. Border Security Force, B. Central Reserve Police Force, C. National Cadet Corps, D. Rapid Action Force. The second row is, explain the reasons whether the following statements are true or false. It is necessary to end terrorism and ensure human security. First one. Second one, every nation creates a strong security system for themselves. Third one, there is no issue of dispute between India and Pakistan. The third row is, write short notes on. First one, the functions of Rapid Action Force. Second one is human security. Third one, home guard. Fourth row, give your own opinion about first one. Which of the forces related to India's security would you like to join and why? Second question, give your views on the policies. Atoms for peace. The fifth row is, answer the following questions in brief. First one, what are the threats to national security? And second one, write the function of the border security force. The last column is do as directed. First question in that is complete the table about security forces. Name of security force, functions, chief, name of the present chief. Army, protection of India's press, admiral, and the name of the present chief. Challenges in front of India's security force. List 24 challenges. Lastly, we have an activity here. Arrange a seminar in your class school on challenges in front of India's security. I hope you guys understood. Thank you.